Hello Whovians, welcome back to my Doctor Who review in my brand new chair for the Ambassadors of Death. Yes, first of all, sorry, it's been a long time since my last Doctor Who review, but unfortunately I've been busy. I never got round to recording this review when I wanted to. I was working through most of the Christmas period, and I have recently been performing in a pantomime, Cinderella. I portrayed one of the ugly sisters. Maybe one day I will actually share some pictures with you on this channel and talk about some of my acting work, because that's something I'd quite like to talk about. Anyway, back to the Doctor Who reviews. So, long time coming, Ambassadors of Death, I've managed to watch this. I just want to start this review by apologising as well, because I unintentionally watched this story out of order. So, some parts of it are kind of mishmashed in my head at the moment. I may need to re-review this story at a later date, or revisit this story, but it's been so long, I thought, well, I have to record a review. I can't not do the review. It's been too long. So yeah, basically, I watched the story out of order. I started watching episodes 1, 2, and 3. Then after that, I kind of forgot where I was. I know that might sound strange, but I watched this story from an online source, which I won't name, and the video files that were uploaded there with the episodes, some of the editing was kind of jarring to me, and I thought, hang on, this scene is meant to be in that part, but then it's in that... What? It was confusing me. As well, at the time, my friend Jack McCullough was messaging me on Facebook, so I was trying to multitask as well. I mean, it's not Jack's fault. He didn't realise until I told him that I was like, I'm a bit lost. I don't know where I am. So I had to go back and watch I watched the episode I was on, then I went back and watched the other ones, and yeah, I will probably have to rewatch this story at a later date. But I will do my best to give you a good review of it, as best as I can. So if the review is all over the place, I do apologise. Okay, so this is the third story of season 7, and the third ever story with Jon Pertwee as the Doctor. The story is the 53rd Doctor Who story, and the synopsis of this story is: the Doctor joins the unit's investigation of the mystery surrounding Mars Probe 7 space control, headed by Professor Ralph Cornish, which has had no contact with the astronauts on board since it started back from Mars 7 months prior. Now the Recovery 7 rescue mission has run into similar difficulties. The second ship gets back to Earth, but the astronauts are kidnapped after landing, and Liz Shaw notices that the Geiger counter is at maximum. It transpires that the ship's occupants were not the human astronauts after all, but a trio of radiation-dependent alien ambassadors who had swapped places with them. And that pretty much goes on from there. There's also General Carrington, who wants to basically discredit the aliens and expose them to the world in order to start a war to basically eradicate the aliens. I think that's it. If I got any of that wrong, I apologise. But that's what I read from the TARDIS wiki page, which I use to help me explain the plots in my reviews for Doctor Who. Okay, taking everything into consideration and the fact that I fucked up the watching of this story, from what I could gather, this story is pretty damn good. Yeah, I really like it. I think it's a great mystery, and I love the suspense of the story. I kind of like the fact that the aliens don't really have any names in this. They're not really identified, at least as far as I'm aware. There's also human antagonists, such as Carrington. He's probably the main one. I mean, I like his implications in the story and how he is revealed to be a villain fairly late in the day. So those scenes are intense. I think that's what works best about this story is the tension throughout, and I really like that. It's a good mystery. It's well paced as well for 7 episodes long. It's pretty well paced. I mean, from what I can gather, obviously because I watched the story out of order, accidentally. But yeah, every part had some good things in it. There's some action sequences which are really, really entertaining. There's some gunfights as well. The Doctor actually himself goes up into the space probe and goes up to the probe to contact the aliens, and he talks with the leader of the aliens, and that's a very good scene. The effects are good there, and I like the astronauts, the aliens who replace the astronauts. They're really really scary, very intimidating, and especially when we see the close up of the faces of them. Oh, like the blue face. It's really 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 good uh visual effects and special effects makeup going on there. I think the performances are great. I love John Pertwee in this story. He's very much asserted himself now as a very different Doctor to the previous two guys. And this is the story where I finally see he is the Doctor. He's got his footing. I'm over William Hartnell. I'm over Patrick Troughton. I have accepted this new guy. And he is the Doctor to me. He really proves himself in this story. He really does. He gets some classic moments. And he starts to take charge a lot more as well. Not that the first two Doctors are bad. Of course they're not. They're very good in their own rights. But this is a new direction. And I'm starting to finally get used to this new direction. And I do think that... I mean, yeah, there isn't as much humour in this story. This is a story that does take itself very seriously. But it benefits because of that. It really does benefit because of that. Also, Caroline John as Liz Shaw. Liz is great in this story. She has a lot to do, and she has her own moments where she is interrogated, and someone holds a gun to her head. I can't remember who it is, but somebody holds a gun to her head. That was pretty intense. There are people that actually chase her as well. She gets her own chase scene as well, which is great. And her chemistry with John Pertwee in this story is very good. You can tell they've formed a close friendship by this point. Nicholas Courtney as well as the Brig, as they call him, Brig or Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart. He's very good too. I like he's kind of the one that's really taking charge from a military perspective, of course. I mean, that's his job. But in terms of the story, the Doctor tries to communicate with the aliens, whereas Brigadier tries to communicate with the humans who are opposing. So, in a way, you've got two different leaders kind of asserting themselves, which I find very, very interesting. And I think it's one of the Brig's best appearances so far, from what I've seen. The production values of this story are pretty good. They're very impressive. The sets are very wide and expansive, not only from the base, but also from the alien ship, which is really good. I like the music for this story. The music is fabulous, very intense, and I think it was I can't remember who composed the music. I think it's Dudley Simpson, if I'm correct. If I'm incorrect, please correct me in the comments section below. But no, this is a very good story. There are quite a few characters in this story. Maybe that's kind of a big criticism of this story. There are quite a lot of characters, and it is a bit hard to keep up with them, especially if you watch the story out of order, as I did. But I like Professor Cornish. He's a cool character. I like the aliens. They're really cool. It maybe would have been nice to have them have a name, but not everything has to have a name. I think that adds a lot of mystery to them, to who they are. We don't always have to find out where all the aliens come from. You know, sometimes they can just be there and they can remain mysterious. It helps for a replay value when watching the story, because you'll still never know what they actually are. So that's really interesting. The story does just kind of end though. I may be missing something big in the ending, but obviously General Carrington is obviously arrested and he's taken away. But the story does kind of just cut off. The way it's edited, it just kind of ends. Like, the editing of this story is a little bit sporadic. It's kind of all over the place. I found it hard to follow as well, because also at the start of the episodes, some of the scenes which were there were scenes that were stuck in the middle of other episodes, which is weird. I think that might have been the video files I was watching, because I watched this from an online source. Somebody's obviously tampered with the files to avoid copyright. So I was a little bit confused watching that, but it kind of makes sense to me. I will need to revisit this story in the future and potentially re-review it if I need to. But from what I can gauge, it's a very engaging story, very suspenseful, very intense. very action-packed. The aliens are great. Another big problem of this story. Can you guess what it is yet? You haven't guessed. You haven't guessed what I'm going to say. Well, what have I said about a lot of the previous stories before this? It's too damn long. 7 episodes. Did not need to be 7. It takes a while to get going. The first 2 parts, I mean, the first part definitely was just kind of nothing. Like, it just took a while to get going. You could have lost 1 or 2 of the episodes. This could have been 6 episodes, and I think it would have been better as 6. It is just 1 episode too long. So yeah, I mean, the next story is the last 7-parter we're ever going to see, and then it goes back to a shorter runtime. I know this was aired over weeks and weeks, but you know, it makes more sense just to have a shorter runtime, because I watched this all in one go, even though I watched it out of order. It is too long. There's just no two ways about it. 7 episodes is unnecessary. You don't need it. You don't need it. Very few Doctor Who stories can pull off a 7-episode runtime. This one doesn't. But overall, it's pretty solid. It's pretty damn good. I would definitely watch it again. I guess I'll have to watch it again because I watched it out of order. Yeah, I thought it was directed well by Michael Ferguson, written well by David Whittaker, and produced well by Barry Letts. I mean, it's very good, and I think you could see the show was embracing a lot of change, not only with the Doctor, but just with the format of the whole show. After the viewing figures dropped from Troughton's last season, it's nice to know that the creatives behind the show were very keen to keep it going, and in doing so, they changed a lot of things, but for the better. So, next time on Doctor Who Review, before next time on Doctor Who Review, sorry, I'm going to rate this story an 8 out of 10. Yes, it may need a rewatch. It probably does need a rewatch. Dick. I'm a dick for not actually reviewing the story properly. But sorry guys. But hey, I'm back, and tomorrow I will be reviewing another story. As I've been gone for so long, it's only fair that I actually finish off this season. We've got 1 story left in season 7, and that is Inferno, the 4th and final story in this season, and it's also the final story for Liz. Yeah, Liz will be leaving us. Yeah, she didn't last very long, did she? So yeah, it'll be Caroline John's last story. I mean, obviously she's in more than 4 episodes, but you know, just the way the format of the show runs. Obviously, the last 3 episodes are all 7-part. Last 3 stories are all 21 episodes, because they're 7 parts each, and then the first story was 4. So she's in like 25 episodes. I think that's how much she's in. Yeah, 25 episodes she's in. So she had a good run. I mean, it's a whole season. She's in a whole season of Doctor Who. But next time, it will be her last story. She will be the next companion to leave the show. I think at the time, she was pregnant. But we'll delve more into that in the next review. But yes, sorry about the sporadicness of this review, if that's even a word. Next time, I promise to watch the story in order. And yeah, whoever uploaded that to Dailymotion, look at the editing, because it doesn't look right to me. But that's my review of The Ambassadors of Death, a good Doctor Who story. So please comment down below, let me know what you thought. Stay tuned tomorrow when I review Inferno, which is regarded as one of the all-time best Jon Pertwee stories, and also the finale of this season, where I will also be ranking the season at the very end of the review. So, and saying goodbye to Liz, Caroline John. Okay, so, thank you guys all for watching, and as always, I'm Mr. TARDIS11. See ya.